Ever trick a teacher without them ever finding out? Well, I did, and it's a story I'll never forget. My calculus teacher, Mrs. Winters, was legendary for her impossible no-notes exams that counted for 70% of our final grade. She paced the room with military precision, her steel gray bob swinging as she scanned for any hint of cheating. In the real world, she'd lecture us, you won't have formulas handed to you. I always found that ironic, considering real mathematicians literally reference formulas all the time. The week before our final, she stood before us with a thin smile and announced, Monday's exam covers everything from derivatives to integrals, all from memory. A wave of collective panic swept through the room. Even our valedictorian looked sick. These weren't simple equations either. We had to recall dozens of complex formulas with specific constraints and applications. That weekend, while most of the class made flashcards, I had a different idea. Mrs. Winters had one predictable habit. On every exam day, she wore the same black blazer. Creates a serious atmosphere, she once explained. That gave me inspiration. Sunday night, I dug through my closet and pulled out an old white Fruit of the Loom t-shirt. Using fabric markers, I carefully wrote the trickiest calculus formulas. Chain rule, integration by parts, hyperbolic functions, all on the inside of the shirt, but in reverse so they'd appear correctly in a mirror. Monday morning, I arrived early, wearing my formula shirt under a light hoodie. The bathroom mirror confirmed everything. My work was perfect. The formulas were invisible unless you knew exactly where to look. Why? Mrs. Winters walked in, wearing her predictable black blazer, and I felt a surge of confidence. Phones in the basket, calculators on desks, nothing else, she announced, pacing between the rows and handing out exams. Then she stopped at my desk. And Mr. Parker, she said sharply, remove that hoodie. You know the dress code. Perfect. I pulled off my hoodie, revealing a plain white t-shirt. Nothing suspicious, I said casually. 20 minutes into the test, I hit a problem that needed a Taylor series expansion. I pretended to stretch, casually walked to the pencil sharpener near the windows, and as I turned, the morning sunlight reflected off a glass cabinet beside me. A faint but readable mirror image of my shirt appeared. I memorized the formula I needed and walked back to my desk. Lights. For the next hour, I strategically used bathroom breaks and sharpening tricks to catch glimpses of my mirrored formulas and trophy cases, the glass face of the classroom clock, even a dark computer screen. Each time, I memorized just enough to get through the next few problems. Near the end of class, Mrs. Winters suddenly appeared beside me. Visiting the pencil sharpener quite frequently today, aren't we? She asked, eyes narrowed behind her rectangular glasses. My heart froze. Just nervous habits, I replied, forcing a smile. These integrals make me tense. She stared at me for a moment, then picked up my half-finished exam, studying it with an uncomfortable level of precision. Your solutions are remarkably thorough today. Thank you, I managed to say. Empty your pockets, she demanded. The class went completely silent. I stood and turned out my empty pockets. Your wrists, she continued, checking for any notes. Nothing. She circled me like a shark, searching for anything suspicious, but she found nothing. Finally, in frustration, she snapped, What am I missing? I shrugged innocently. Just trying my best, Mrs. Winters. With a visible huff, she returned my exam. Finish your test? The following week, grades were posted. I scored 96%, second highest in the class. Later, as students filed out, Mrs. Winters called me to her desk. Impressive improvement, she said coldly. Almost unbelievable. I thanked her with practiced humility. Just one question, she added, leaning forward. The Maclaurin series formula you used, it wasn't covered in our textbook, but it matches exactly what's in my personal reference guide. My stomach dropped. Then she smiled, not her usual tight-lipped smirk, but something different, almost respectful. Whatever you did, she said quietly, it was creative enough that I couldn't catch it, and frankly, that kind of ingenuity deserves recognition. She tapped my exam. Besides, in the real world, knowing where to find information is more valuable than memorizing it. As I turned to leave, she called after me. But if I ever figure out how you did it, I'm changing your grade to 0. Ew.